Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. After 3 podcasts down, we're welcoming Rich back to the podcast, COVID-free, looking strong and healthy.
I was always COVID-free, but I was just man flu, whatever you want to call it, mate. But I'm fighting fit again now. Ready. I'm gutted though. I missed the chat about this England-West Indies, and I'm going to save it for another day. But I've got stuff to say. But it's not for today, is it, Rob? I'm glad to be back.
It's a good one today as well, mate, because it's our 3rd annual with 2 years off County Championship preview podcast. Now, there's going to be 2 podcasts dropping into your inbox over the next 24 hours. One is going to be for Division 1, which we're going to run through today. We're going to run through the teams, the ins and outs, the batters, the bowlers, who's the stars going to be, and ultimately, what you care about, who's going to go and win the competition. So we're going to do that today, and then tomorrow we'll turn off and we'll turn on to Division 2 cricket, which Notts are a part of, even though they were 0.5 of a point away from being in the Bob Willis Trophy final. But that's cricket, that's COVID.
Fine.
That is what we're dealing with today. Rich, whereabouts are we going to start in the world of county cricket?
This is so good, isn't it? Red ball cricket's on its way. We know red ball cricket is almost back in England because when Notts was having their team photo the other day, it was snowing. So it's definitely close by, isn't it? We're all ready. We've had Cricket Force this weekend for all the clubs in England as well, getting the painting brushes out. So it means we are ready for this county championship season. So, Rob, let's not delay any longer. Should we start off? Division 1, Essex. We're going to go alphabetically. This is not any preference of anything. Alphabetically, 10 teams in Division 1, back to a 2-team setup this year, isn't it? After the 3-team hiatus, if you want to call it, for a couple of seasons. But we are back to 2 divisions now. And we're back to pretty much the results from the 2019 season. Because if we find Northamptonshire are in Division 1, Nottinghamshire are not in Division 1, which we are totally fine about. We're fine about that. But yeah, let's get underway. Essex, Rob. They were pretty good. They finished the top of their Division 2, didn't they? Alistair Cook is still there. There was concerns whether Alistair Cook would still be on board. He's still involved. Tom Wesley will be captaining the team this season as they hope to go on and challenge for honours. Simon Harmer is absolutely the key man, isn't he, of Essex? He always will be as long as he's playing. Sadly, due to certain B-word reasons that we cannot mention on this podcast anymore, he's no longer working his way towards England. He's back in the South Africa fold. So it's whether or not that will impact him starting the end of the season. Maybe the odd test match will take him away from that. We've got Sam Cook as well as Alistair Cook. He's a star, isn't he? The bowler, Sam Cook, absolute quality player. And the big exciting signing for me for Essex this year is Matt Critchley coming across from Derbyshire. The leg spinning, batting all round. He got 1,000 runs last year. He wants to kick on. He obviously wants to get himself in the view of the England selectors and see where he can go from there. And he will be hoping that this move will do it for him. Overseas player Mark Steckety, the Aussie seamer, is coming across for the first 6 games of the year. And the last thing I'd say about Essex, Rob, no more Ryan Descarter, whatever he is. I don't know how you say his name, still don't. Probably because I keep saying it in different ways. But he is no longer on board with Essex, Rob.
Mate, Ryan Descarter, one of the, if not the highest one-day international average of all time of about 60-odd. There's his claim to fame. Also, a really good golfer and former model. There you go. There we go. We're throwing out stats anyway.
Models? Whoa, former model? What?
Former model.
This is
I'm
breaking
sure
news.
I have seen Descarter.
Wow.
Modelling in a previous life. Maybe about
He sure
6, 7
didn't
years
see
ago.
a photo of him.
It could have just been Instagram. Let's be
Just
honest.
saw a photo.
Saw a photo model. I do the same with I can't even remember. England wicketkeeper.
I don't know.
Folks.
Oh.
Extremely good looking guy. You look at him, you're like,
Yes.
model material. Talking about model materials, Rich, Alistair Cook is back for another year of county championship cricket. He has been immense. So what I've done, any of the stats that I'm going to be talking about today around these teams are based on a 3-year rolling average. So how have they done over the last 3 years? 2020 was an off year where they didn't really play that many games. It was awkward. So you kind of need what they've done before, what they've done a little bit after to work out kind of where they're sitting in the world. And when we're talking about it, some of the stats that's probably important to know is that the 3-year rolling average for a top 6 batsman in England is 30.
Yeah,
so you talk about a guy averaging 40, Rich. You're talking
result
about
pitches.
Result pitches. You're talking about exceptional players. So 30 is the average. The 3-year rolling average, including 1 to 11 in your order, is 26. So those numbers are going to be critical because when I tell you that Alistair Cook over the last few years is averaging 42.59, that is putting him in such high regard, especially as an opener and especially playing at Chelmsford, which is the hardest place to bat out the 18 home grounds in the UK. There you go, dropping stats like it's hot, but 20% harder, and that's taking the home team and away team's performances in those grounds over the last 3 years. He's really good. Matt Critchley, you touched on, gives them a degree of quality around that middle order, but you know what it does to a team. As soon as you get someone that can do both facets of the game and do them well, it helps with your squad selection. It helps you bring in a young player because you've already got the spinner role sorted. It's who can offer something with the bat. Now, Critchley's bowling is going to be interesting, and I'm interested to see how he does at Chelmsford. He's played at Derbyshire, where he's averaged 33 over the last few years. If you look at where he's been playing every single game of his cricket and scored his runs, his inflated average probably goes up to about 35. But he's got 68 wickets at 37, which isn't quite the reward I thought you would get from a Matt Critchley as a bowler. And if you don't dig into the stats, I'd probably hold him in higher regard than what those numbers might be. But playing as part of a good team can completely change the game for a spinner. We've seen it with Jack Leach when there's not runs on the board for Jack Leach. Australia's come after him. But when there's runs on the board, he looks a much more threatening bowler. So I'm quite interested to see how he goes. Dan Lawrence is one where it's like he's doing really well in county championship cricket the last 3 years. He scored a fantastic 150 last year, hitting balls off one knee early season. He's exceptional talent. How much England cricket is he going to be playing? How much is he going to be missing? One that goes under the radar for me is probably Paul Walter. Paul Walter averages 36 over the last few years, mate. He's a great player, and he's got the ability where only 18% of the innings that he plays, he gets out less than 10. Put that in context, Alistair Cook gets out less than 10, 26% of the time. So that's how consistent he's been in terms of nitty-gritty, getting stuck into the game. If I was to call out one player that no one's probably heard of yet, Rich, and I don't know whether he's going to play, but it was a little moment where I went, wow. Can you remember Dale Birkenstein, who played for Durham, South Africa import?
Yes.
Played years and years.
Ooh, I see a name on the squad list.
Scored bags and bags of county championship runs. Well, Luke Birkenstein, South African born, 17-year-old right-handed bat, right arm leg spin, is part of this team, number 99. He's in the squad. So he played some second team cricket last year, 9 wickets at an average of 18. So although Matt Critchley is there as the number one spinner, I don't know what his batting ability is like. He only batted a couple of times last year and didn't score any runs in the twos. But it's a name that I go, I'm surprised you're kicking around like you are. I like things like that. I like continuity of cricketing names.
Absolutely. We are that old. It's as simple as that. The players are coming through. They are the kids of the players that we watch. They are coming through. We are definitely that old. So Essex, I think they're going to be wanting to compete this year. They're going to have a strong team. Whenever you've got Sir Alistair Cook in your team, you're going to be hoping that you're going to be there or thereabouts. The 8-time champions, Rob, will definitely be in amongst that conversation. Next up, shall we move on to Gloucestershire?
Yeah.
Now, this is a county where I'm not quite sure which way to go with them. I don't know whether I could see them getting relegated, but I could also see them pushing on. I don't think they've quite got a championship winning side at the moment, but I can see them probably going to be that mid-table, aren't they? Chris Dent, the opener, who hasn't really been spoken about in England, so considering we are round every single opener that's ever played cricket. Club cricketers are lining up for a good start to the summer. They're going to be thinking that they've got a chance of this England opener shot at the moment. People like Chris Dent have never been mentioned, but he stepped down as captain. Talking of a Luke Benkenstein, who's head coach at Gloucestershire, Rob? Dale Benkenstein. Family game, just flows. But the new captain for Gloucestershire, it's a really good story. This Graham Van Buren, if you remember last year, he was not able to be registered as a homegrown player. Ridiculous. Administrative nonsense. Again, B word, no comment, not carrying on. I'm going to talk about that any longer. But he's now allowed, and he's got the captaincy. He is such an integral and important part of this Gloucestershire team, of a pretty talented team as well, isn't it? You've got the likes of James Bracey, who had such a difficult start with England last summer. He's gone away, and he's looking at the game in a completely different manner now, isn't he? He's going to be batting at 3. Incredibly talented. The talent has not gone away. It's just whether or not he's rehabilitated himself enough to push himself back on for England duties. Dent's in there as well. Ryan Higgins, just one of the finest county cricketers, bat and ball all-rounders in the game, isn't it? He's going to be there. And then you've got the likes of Marcus Harris coming out as an overseas player. David Payne as well, who's got himself in the England set. I'm just picking a few names out of there just to sprinkle this team with who's there. So Gloucestershire, Rob, like I say, I'm not quite sure what to expect from these. I think if you're a Gloucestershire fan, you're going to be excited about how this season goes. Talk to me. Tell me what your thoughts are and pick out a couple of players that you're excited about in this team.
We've all seen Marcus Harris play in the Ashes, mate. And we thought, he can average 10. I probably can do that too. But in county cricket, he's been exceptional. He averages 54 over the last 3 years when he's been playing in county championship cricket, mate. 22 innings into that time. So that's enough exposure to go, is he good or not in this level? And yes, he is. He's very, very good. And he's also done it playing on difficult wickets. His basic ground factor average moves up to 57, looking at the grounds that he's been playing at during that time. So he is exceptional. But they've actually got a good undertone of other players. Chris Dent, you mentioned, opening the batting. Well, he ranks 38th on my list of the best 50 English batsmen in the country. That's put him in pretty high regard. 1,817 runs at an average of 35, doing it on difficult wickets, which is something that really does need to be taken in consideration because Ollie Pope averages 70 and he plays most of his games at the Oval, but it's never apples for apples, especially if you're playing a cold day at Scarborough, mate. It's just not the same. Graham Van Buren, great story, great player as well. Yeah. 27th highest average during this period of time. He averages 38 with the bat and scores at a 58 strike rate, Rich. He's a hell of a player. Ryan Higgins gives him that two-way ability. He's definitely a two-tool player. He scores runs, takes wickets, 118 wickets at an average of 23 in the county championship in the last few years, mate, and averages 36 with the bat. I don't really know what more a all-rounder could do. You touched on James Bracey, and it's almost like right, you've reset yourself now, James. You came into Test cricket, you were absolutely shocking. How can you go and do better? And I'm sure he's gone away, worked on himself, worked on his batting, and is ready to come back and score some runs. Because we've seen it with this England setup. Just because you failed once doesn't mean you're completely out of the setup. There's an opportunity to come back in. Unless you are peak Mark Rampakash, age 35, and England are struggling with batting, then you can't get back in. One name I think that's worth mentioning is Ian Cobain.
Oh my God, what is it, you and Cobain? Jeez.
I love talking about him, mate. And it's not just the name, but it's the performances that he's had. He's been a pretty reasonable cricketer in county championship. Maybe, right. If 30.2 is your average that a batsman scores, he averages 30.2. So you can look at it and go, right, he's an average sort of player. He gets out for less than 10 quite a lot. But when he gets in, he scores more than 50. Ranking 32 on the list. So he's actually, when he gets in, he's pretty good. He's also coming off an incredible summer or winter for the English guys, where he was in the Big Bash just from being on holiday and COVID hit. And then he got a call up to the PSL. So this guy will be buzzing still. You've got to think. He's probably just cashed in an extra 50k into his bank account just for going on holiday. And I'd expect that he comes back pretty strong and looks to score some county championship runs. Because, one, you've got someone that's scoring at an average around the grounds, but so much of it, when it comes to top-level players, some of it's talent, but the majority of it's probably mental. And when you chat to players, it's all about when they're mentally good, they're doing it their best. And so many of the teams these days revolve around not teaching them technically, but trying to get them into the right mindset. Confidence is one of the best things that you can probably have going around. And he's full of it. And like you said, David Payne, 91 wickets at an average of 22 over the previous time, mate, over the last 3 years. There's no reason to say this team can't compete. They're just missing some of the star names sometimes you see in some of the teams around county championship cricket. But that doesn't mean they're bad. That means they've just got an undercurrent of talent that's not really had the same exposure.
Yeah, definitely. They're a team that I think could surprise some people, but they could finish, in my opinion, anywhere from probably 4th down to 9th or 10th. So who knows what the summer's going to bring for Gloucestershire, but we will find soon enough. Moving on to a team that has got the big names, Rob, has got a lot of the push behind them, and a lot of people I would be saying that these will go into this season as favourites is Hampshire. That of James Vince County. Hampshire are a solid setup, aren't they? James Vince will be captaining. You have got an opening attack of Mohammed Abbas and Kyle Abbott. Abbott, 46 wickets last year at under 22, and Abbas, 41 at less than 16. That's your new ball attack. That's pretty good. There's not many counties that can offer a better start than that. Nick Gubbins is a player that I'm really excited about. He was with Middlesex. He's come over to Hampshire. He was on loan last year. He's one of those players that I've been talking about for a number of years, who I think has the ability. He nearly got to England selection about 2018, didn't he? He was playing some England Lions and really, really performing well. Never quite kicked on from there, but this is a fresh experience for him, fresh opportunity, and I think he's going to go well. James Vince is there as well, and another great signing, Ben Brown, Sussex skipper, 30-ish-year-old batter, averaging over 40 of his career, wicketkeeper, great experience. I just think that's a sensational signing. We'll get on to Sussex when we do in Division 2, but you can understand why he left Sussex. Sussex are going with the revolution of young players, but Ben Brown could be the signing of the summer, of the winter, however you want to talk about it. And this team is exciting. You've got likes of Tom Preth, the under-19 skipper for England, Joe Weatherly as well. They'll be expecting a little bit more from him. But when you've got that opening attack and you've got 2 or 3 of that quality in the top 6 in the batting, I don't think you can look much further than Hampshire for champions this year. They'll be pushing really close if they don't win it.
They're good, mate. They're good. I remember when we did the preview on them last year, and we both liked them last year, and I think they're better this year than where they was. And I'm glad you brought up Ben Brown, mate. Ben Brown, easy for me to say. I've got him ranked as the 18th best English batsman in the country. And that's just on sheer volume of runs over a long period of time. But particularly in the last 3 years, he's got the 13th best average out of people that are either England eligible or trying to be England eligible. He scores at a great rate. He scores hundreds. That's important. 13% of his innings are scoring 100, mate. That just doesn't happen in county cricket. Not many people are better than that. In fact, he's ranked 8th on this list of people that score hundreds per innings. That's how good a player he is. And it's quite an interesting one. He's 33, can keep wicket, and he's never been regarded in the England setup. There's never been anything to do with it. And Hampshire, possibly more of a popular county to go and play for. Don't know. But, oh, mate, you're getting absolute gold put into your team to go and support the rest of the team here for them. James Vince is another one. Twitter loves James Vince. If you're not on Twitter, just search James Vince and you'll just find nothing but love. Everyone rates him so highly. He looks flashy. He plays beautiful cover drives. He was doing that before he got picked by England. He did that while he was playing for England and looked good for 25, 30. Then nicked off, and he's done well since. But I'm yet to be convinced there's anything different about his game as opposed to what there was previously. We've seen some runs in one-day international cricket, Rich, haven't we? And he's done pretty well in that.
Yeah, I think James Vince is one of them players where if the England batting lineup had actually shown the consistency and ability to score runs, James Vince as a player, as a myth, as a legend, wouldn't have grown as much as it has done. But players often are seen as better. They improve in our eyes the worse the national team is doing. Everyone seems to get better the worse that the actual players in the positions are doing. James Vince is one of them. Undoubted quality. Probably does deserve another shot at the England team at some point. But I don't know. I just think he's maybe just a little bit, I don't want to say overrated because that's a harsh way of talking about it, because we don't have the most ridiculous depth of talent in English cricket batting at the moment, do we? So he's certainly a stunning player. Hampshire, there's a difference. Like you mentioned Lancashire earlier. There's a difference, isn't there, between quality championship players and players that can go on and be solid, consistent test match players. And James Vince is in the absolute top tier of county batsmen. And Hampshire, like we said, will be looking at absolutely nothing other than going out and winning the championship this year. Let's move across the south coast, shall we, Rob? Shall we move over to Kent?
Yes.
Now, Kent are a team that will more than likely struggle. I think in most people's eyes, they're going to be looking at a struggle. But I just wonder. I look at this team, and when I wanted to go through this squad, I'm finding I'm highlighting more names than I'm not. This is the sort of squad that I'm interested in. They might not, they're struggling. They're a little bit in between, aren't they? But they've got some really interesting players. And I just wonder if they might be a little bit like one of those counties where we're going to undervalue them and under-expect what we think they can achieve this year. So Sam Billings, maybe he could be an England captain. Where's that come from?
Mate, again, it feels like we're so lost as an England country. And I saw, I think it's the podcast that Chris Rushworth does, the Durham Bowler.
Yeah.
And they basically said it's like bringing up someone to captain England that's played club cricket. I can't remember the exact example he was using, but you just wouldn't bring someone in that's not of that ilk and that class to be able to play that level to do it.
I really like Sam Billings as a cricketer. He seems a really competitive cricketer and he's obviously very talented, but he's not played enough red ball cricket over the years and we don't know if he's a test player. Also, Ben Folkes is in pole position at the moment for that position. You've also got the likes of Johnny Bairstow and there are other players as well, but Billings is around that. Let him concentrate on captaining Kemp when he's finished with the IPL. Let him score a load of runs, and then let's see if we need a captain, if Joe Root decides to step down, or anyone decides if Joe Root's stepping down. But I just think it's a bit of a stretch, bit of a reach. This is not Adam Hollyoake era, who I would have happily had captain in the Test side as a captain. That's it. He didn't have to bat or bowl, just captain. But I don't think we're quite there. But he leads this Kent side, who will struggle. But they do have the likes of Matt Henry coming back over, who has been absolutely sensational. They have Zach Crawley. They have Joe Denley. They've got George Lind, overseas spinner, 30-year-old. He can bat as well, a multi-dimensional cricketer who will be an absolute asset for them. Jackson Bird's coming over for them again. He's had plenty of opportunity, hasn't he? The Ollie Robinson, the other Ollie Robinson, not the one you're thinking of, wicket-keeper batsman Ollie Robinson for Kent as well. And the likes of Darren Stevens, we'll get onto a sec, but Matt Milnes as well, someone that we're very fond of because he comes from our neck of the woods and we played with his dad, basically. We played cricket with his dad and his brother. So really excited to see what Matt Milnes can continue to do. Talented player. And Darren Stevens, if there's a team that's got Darren Stevens in it, don't write them off.
Yeah. Again, you're right. There are a lot of names to kind of put your hand around and go, yep, this guy's there, this guy's there. They're looking pretty good. I think one that might have gone under the radar, Harry Podmore's there. And I quite rate Harry Podmore. 83 wickets at an average of 25 over the last few years. You put that alongside Matt Milnes, who's got 102 wickets at 23. You've got Darren Stevens, 120 wickets at 17. This is quite a decent bowling attack. And then you throw Matt Henry into the mix. And Matt Henry was incredible for Kent 2-3 years ago. I think it might have been 2019. He took 70 wickets. I'm picking a number off the top of my head, but it was a lot of wickets at not many runs.
75 wickets in 11 appearances.
That was incredible. And awesome. Matt Henry, the Test cricketer, the next level up, has struggled. And he was averaging 40. Then South Africa turned up in the summer over here in New Zealand, and he blew them away. I think he got 10 for in the game. He got 7 for in one innings and won them that Test match hands down all by himself. He was incredible. So again, confidence, guy coming in, knows he can do it at the level above now. That's quite exciting to see what he can go and do. There are a couple of gaps. Sam Billings averages 44 over the last 3 years, Rich. He's not going to be around at the start. He's proper into his IPL stuff at the moment, and he's having a great time and enjoying it. Everyone enjoys seeing a bit of Sam Billings play. The enthusiasm behind the stumps, very clever, very witty about how he goes about stuff. He's going to be a little bit of a miss. But Jack Leaning, I think, needs some credit for how good a cricketer he has been over the last few years. 41 innings, 38 average, very, very good. That's way above the top 6 average in the league. His balls per dismissal is 90. Every 90 balls he's going to get out. That probably means he's batting for a couple of hours on average. Average ball per dismissal is about 68 in county championship cricket. So he's way above what he can do. And he scores decent runs on generally a pretty hard place to play. Kent's not the easiest place to go and play your cricket every time. So he adds some decent quality with the bat. If they are going to struggle, Rich, I feel it is going to be with the bat. There's guys like Daniel Bell Drummond there, who big fan of, friend of the podcast, averages 30 over the last 3 years. There's a lot of guys averaging 25 to 35. There's not many that's better than that in this lineup. And that doesn't mean they can't be better. Because the age, other than Darren Stevens being the oldest guy to play county cricket since Jesus was a lad, that's just where they're at.
Yeah, definitely. This is the thing, isn't it? It's opportunities, isn't it? With the likes of Kent, I saw them a little bit like Sussex last year. They used a lot of players, and a lot of those players were quite young. They've got a young batsman, Tuenda Mwai, as well. He's averaging 35 in just the 4 games he's played so far. A lot relies on the likes of Jordan Cox, Zach Crawley, Joe Denley, etc. in that top order. Zach Crawley is going to be around for the first 6 rounds of this championship season. I think he needs to go and score runs. I'm not saying his place is up for grabs, but he needs to learn consistency. This is the big thing. We can't. I know you spoke about it on the podcast that I missed breaking down the series, Rob. He can't keep getting a big 100 and then nothing. We need more from him. It's the same as what Ollie Pope tends to do for Surrey, and it's a great problem to have. Ollie Pope goes and gets a double 100, but then he might not score, make much of a score for a couple of games or whatever. We need consistency from these young players, whether it's Dan Lawrence, whether it's Zach Crawley, whether it's whoever the opener is. Pick one from any 20 probably openers.
Yeah.
Dan Lawrence, etc. Zach Crawley. They need consistency, and they need to get a run up into this season, because I can guarantee there are going to be some players like Dom Sibley and others that him in particular, he wants that spot back. He's had a good pre-season. We'll get onto that in a bit. But Zach Crawley needs to score some runs, get himself some confidence, get into the Test series against New Zealand, and not look back, because otherwise there will be players wanting to steal that spot.
Definitely will, mate. Definitely will. Interesting, Kent. Interesting team.
I don't know. There's something about them.
There could be something really special at the start of the season, but I wonder how well they're going to do the longer the season goes on for me.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it, Rob. Fair way. Right, one of the big boys, Lancashire. We're on to them next. Dane Villas is the captain. He didn't have the best of season last year. It's quite a nicely balanced team, isn't it? What they've got here, they've lost Alex Davis to Warwickshire, the opening batsman, the wicketkeeper batsman, but they have some players that are on the up. Josh Bohannon. I think a lot of people were surprised that he didn't make it into the squad for the West Indies series. Didn't get any cricket over the winter.
Yeah.
He's had a great time. He's averaging nearly 44 in his young career so far for Lancashire, which is a hell of a way. Keaton Jennings, somebody that some people think, again, we always talk about the opener. We never stop talking about the England opener spot because they're never nailed down. Keaton Jennings will be hopeful. He can go and get himself back involved there. Phil Salt might even be involved in the red ball, opening the batting. Let's see. England don't like him as an opener, apparently. And then you've got the Matt Parkinson. We all want to see Matt Parkinson as the spinner, and the likes of Liam Livingston and Saki Mahmood. Lots of England interest in here. And also Hassan Ali, the Pakistani Test cricketer, will be available for the first set of games. I think that's a pretty handy, useful bowler to partner a certain Jimmy Anderson. Although, is Jimmy Anderson available for the first game, and Rob, after his rested winter?
I saw Stuart Broad has been rested for the first game of the season. Stuart Broad, who's not played for months. So I haven't seen something say Jimmy's rested.
No, he's not. Lancashire do not play in the first round of games, which start on the 7th of April. Oh my God, next week. They play the week after. So technically he is rested, but that's because they don't have a game. We'll get on to Stuart Broad later. But Lancashire, Rob, talk to me about Lancashire. Jimmy Anderson and Hassan Ali with a new ball.
Yeah,
nice.
That's pretty special. Hassan Ali, good Test match bowler, 74 wickets, I think it is in Test match cricket now. Didn't really set the world alight against Australia in the recent 3 Test match series, but it was very similar conditions, different conditions to the England versus West Indies, where there was 2 absolute roads. Pakistan batted for more than 1,000 balls in the 4th innings. They are the sort of conditions you're playing on, but he will be very good in county championship cricket. He does move the ball around. The amazing thing about this team for me, Lancashire, and how good they are, Old Trafford is the 13th best ground to bat on in England in terms of the home grounds, which isn't that high. If 100's your average, they're about a 95. So it's actually harder. But you've got these guys that do so well in these conditions. Dane Villas averages 52. Josh, in the last 3 years. Josh Bohannon, 49. Still not sure he's not part of the England testing. When we saw him in the Lions, they did a live stream against Australia A. He was head and shoulders the best batsman on that pitch. He looked wonderful. Stephen Croft averages 43. And then you've got the likes of Keaton Jennings, who averages 35, bats a lot of time, 85 balls per dismissal, and generally in county cricket does really, really well. Every year, you're going to get a level of consistency. So I'm quite impressed with the team that they've got together. They'll have guys missing. Liam Livingston won't be there. I'm not sure what Philip Salt will be doing. I don't know how much first-class cricket that guy's going to get. But what's to say he can't be a first-class cricketer, especially if they're looking for another opener to go alongside Keaton Jennings at some point. Not saying it's going to be him. There's plenty of other players that are good enough to do it. But it depends where his ambitions lie and what he wants to achieve from his game and what the conversation looks like with Lancashire. If he turns around and say, mate, I want to play red ball cricket. That's what I want to do. That changes it. Or if it's, no, I want to play in the IPL. I want to play T20 cricket for England. Then that changes the conversation about what opportunities are going to be open to him. He's not bad. He averages 34, but his balls per dismissal is 47, is 20 lower than the county championship average. So age 25 is kind of getting that point of your career where as a red ball cricketer, you need to start moving a little bit.
Yeah, I think just touching on Salt a little bit here, I think now's the time, if he wants to be taken seriously as an all-format cricketer and take that step up away from promising and white ball into the quality and potentially world, I don't want to say world class, but into the world tier, he needs to go and play red ball cricket. Alex Davis, as I said, has moved on. There is an opener slot ready and available for somebody. Why not use a player as talented as Phil Salt at the top of the order? See if he can develop his game. We know what he can do with the white ball. We know what he can do in the shortest format. Get him in the red ball now and see what happens. Lancashire, you're going to expect them to be competing again, aren't you? You really must.
Their bowling attack is incredible, Rich. Let's give it. I feel I should give it a little bit more kudos than what it's been given. Tom Bailey, 100 wickets in the last 3 years at an average of 19. Matt Parkinson, who needs to go and take wickets again, even though he's got 56 wickets, an average of 20 as a leg spinner in England in the last 3 years. That's quite incredible. Richard Gleeson, who can offer 50 wickets at an average of 20. Old stager, 34 years old, but can get it done. Saqib Mahmood, I'm sure he's going to be available during this time. He's coming off the back of an impressive England-West Indies series and looks pretty good. And Luke Wood is one of the most underrated players in English cricket. Time and time again, no matter what the format, he is very good. And he's got contracts overseas now. I've seen him playing, I think I saw him playing in the T10 or the Sri Lankan League. He might have got a game in the PSL. Averages 24 with the bat, Rich. Genuine all-rounder, 41 wickets at an average of 34. Quite impressed what people like him can go and do. So they've just got class up and down the order. And that's why every single season they're a top 3, top 4 team that kind of goes around.
Absolutely. Last word I'm going to say on Lancashire, it depends for me how their season goes on England selection. If Saqib Mahmood is suddenly the 3rd or 4th seamer and he's playing week, test in, test out, that's a huge miss. If Matt Parkinson suddenly, after he's got 102 wickets at 23.35 in his 32 game career so far in first class cricket, if he ever gets an opportunity in the test side, that's somebody that they could be missing. And who knows what will happen with this England batting card. Josh Bohannon is there. He's ready. He's waiting. There's only one or two others, I think, in that middle order that's waiting to come in. Apart from those players, we've already seen the likes of Pope and others. You've got the likes of Joe Clark, haven't you? And Josh Bohannon must be the next players purely on ability who are ready to take one of those spaces. So it all depends. Surrey are going to be the same conversation. If you lose some of these players to England, Lancashire become a completely different proposition. Yeah. So one end of the table, I think we're going to have to politely say to the other end of the table with the next team, Rob, Northamptonshire. They and Gloucestershire, they secured promotion on the very last game of the season in 2019 to clinch their spot, which is why they are now still in Division 1. Northamptonshire, I think there's a partnership with the ball and there's a batsman that I need to focus on, and I'm sure you will as well. Ricardo Vasconcelos, the most rewarding, and I just love saying that man's name. Vasconcelos. It's beautiful. Everybody at home just say Vasconcelos. It just makes you feel happier. He's a young player. He's averaging 36. Left on bat, he's a wicketkeeper, multi-dimensional cricketer. I think he's 24. A lot is on his shoulders, a hell of a lot. And then you've got a bowling attack of Gareth Berg, the Italian international ex-Middlesexian, Gareth Berg, who's 41. And the other, oh my God, Ben Sanderson, that's the other guy as well. The oldest opening partnership in county cricket by a long, long way. That's the key, isn't it? Matt Kelly's coming in, Australian, bit of pace on him, also can bat a little bit as well. Rossington as well. I think only Rossington and Vasconcelos average above 35 in county cricket. But that's it. I'm going to say it one more time. Vasconcelos, it's all about him.
It's all about Vasconcelos. And I was doing some digging on Vasconcelos and I wanted to make sure that he wants to be England eligible. And it feels, from what I'm reading, that he does. He averages 39 opening the batting in the last 3 years. Very, very good player, Rich. His balls per dismissal isn't that great, but he scores at such a lick. And I think it was week 2 or week 3 last year, he went and scored a massive 150 or 200. So he's of high quality. Matthew Kelly, I had to go and Google. I wasn't quite sure Matthew Kelly, but 111 wickets at 28 in Sheffield Shield cricket. That's a pretty reasonable return to me as someone who's pretty good at the game. And if you're an Australian cricketer and you are getting picked up by an English county cricket team, you are of the upper echelon of people that's available in that time. I think Adam Rossington needs a little bit of love. I always thought Adam Rossington was a lot older than this, but he's only 28 years old.
Is that right?
Averages
I agree. I can
41.
see. I would have thought he was in his 30s as well, actually. So yeah, I will hold my hand up for the same, Rob.
Yeah, so he's good. Luke Proctor's he's 33 years old, but he averages 35 during those last 3 years. So he's a guy of good quality, bats time, 78 balls per dismissal. The bowling could be questionable. You know, Sanderson and Berg, that's great. They're old. Love that. Love to see people they've earned the stripes and they're still good enough to get it done. So that's always good to see. But if they go down, it creates opportunities for other players. Tom Taylor's there, 27 years old now, 49 wickets at 28. But then it feels like there's a bit of a drop-off, and it's still oldish guys. Nathan Buck, Luke Proctor, 41 and 32 wickets respectively, both averaging 34 plus in county championship cricket. Simon Kerrigan's going to be around 32 wickets at 26 during that time. Not played the most amount of cricket in the last few years. I just feel they potentially maybe a little bit light in the bowling stakes, mate, and I'm not quite sure where they're going to make it up.
I think you've mentioned a lot of names there of players as well. Some of the ones you brought in there are players that are going to have to step up. Ben Curran's another one as well. They're going to have to perform to the absolute top of their ability to make sure that they can support the likes of Ricardo Vasconcelos. You thought I was not going to say his name for a second there, didn't you?
Say it again.
But they're going to have to step up massively to make sure that they can support him with the bat. With the ball, like we say, Berg and Sanderson, they've got to stay fit. It's simple as that. And it's a huge ask. We know what it's like when you start getting your calves start popping as you're going for that quick single. Yeah, right. That steady single. It's just what happens, isn't it? Another young player who I thought at the end of last summer looked relatively impressive, Emilio Gay. He opens the batting. And also New Zealand are basically bringing everyone over ahead of the Test series to get a bit of cricket. Will Young's going to be in as well, getting his eye in for Northamptonshire as well.
Absolute class, mate. Will Young was incredible last year at Durham. Scored runs, batted well, 200s. I think it was in the first couple of months of the year. And he's gone on. He scored a one-day international 100 a couple of days ago against the Netherlands. He's class. He's New Zealand's number 2 opener behind Latham, and he's earned it. He got there over Tom Blundell, who scored 100 Boxing Day Test, I think it was, a few years ago. He's held in high regard in New Zealand cricket, mate. Yeah.
This is the thing. The start of the summer, like we spoke about, Kent, early season, Northampton might surprise people. They might be in one of those spots that you don't think, oh my, what are they doing there?
Yeah.
And like Kent, like you said, Rob, it might be as the summer goes on, that's when they start struggling a little bit and they start dropping down. But early season with the main man, Vasconcelos, with Will Young, with Emilio Gay, with one or two others, they might surprise a few people and do pretty well. Somerset, Rob, let's keep moving it on. Somerset, the perennial bridesmaids, I think that's what we need to call them, isn't it? Led by Tom Abel, always a team that you're going to favour at the start of the season, always look on paper as if they've got a squad that's going to compete, and the season's no different, really, is it? The likes of Tom Lammonby, an absolute star in the making. He struggled a bit last year, didn't he, after he hit the ground sprinting the back end of the summer afterwards, exiting the under-19 international. You've still got James Hildreth, who again struggled last year. Lewis Gregory, Stephen Davis, they relied a little bit too much on. And Tom Abel last year, wasn't he, the captain? He is the man that they really, really do rely on. What was it? 700 odd runs for Abel last year. With the ball, Craig Overton, I don't think he's going to be playing much England Test cricket. So Craig Overton, one of the leading wicket takers by first half of last season, and he stayed up there, didn't he, for most of the year. He's going to be really important for them. And Peter Siddle, this is probably his 4th stint now, I think it is, in county cricket. He's going to be an absolute handful, isn't he? The banana muncher. And he should be great. Will Smead, who broke through in white ball cricket last year, he's yet to make his county championship debut. He was a star in the 100. He's suddenly come from nowhere, hasn't he? He's started getting his name out there. I would love to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he will do. And also, just one last name I'm just going to drop in there, apart from, actually, Martin DeLanger's an overseas, but the other overseas, Matt Renshaw, the Aussie, he's coming over here as well, and he'll be a big, big help to Somerset as they challenge and hope to challenge, should I say, for the championship.
Will Smead, great shout on the name, mate. I was surprised to see no first-class games going on.
Yeah.
But he lit up the PSL this year, mate. He was world-class in that format. Hopefully, see him get some cricket. But again, it comes down to the person. What do you want to achieve out of your game? Like, 20 years old, the world's at his feet. He's good enough to play against these guys. Is it a detriment that he's not played any first-class cricket by this point? Maybe it is. You're right. Some of the stars here, Tom Abel, I've got down as the 32nd best batter in England at the moment. He's a good player. His name gets bandied around the England setup a lot because of the person and the leadership qualities that he possesses, and how he deals with people and his tactical nous on the pitch. Stephen Davis is there. He's a good cricketer. He's a just above average cricketer. But then I see a little bit of a drop-off in terms of what people are going to be able to achieve. Tom Lammonby is one that 2020 he scored that 100 in the Bob Willis Trophy final when everyone went, this guy. We've got a left-handed opener. Yeah. He scores runs. He looks great. I haven't got him in the same regard. I've got him as the 103rd best batsman in England at the moment, 94th best average, but he's played on some pretty batter-friendly grounds. Yeah. That drops down to about 108th when we start digging down into the details of his stats. The problem for me, Rich, is when you go down and you start...
Do you want to drink water, Rob?
Start choking when you're talking about out less than 10, way too much.
Start of last season, it was like computer code, whatever you call it. It was like 0-1, 0-0-1. That was his start of the summer last year. It was like, oh my God, somebody put an arm around this guy. He's struggling. He's going to retire from the game at age 20 or whatever. But he did come back, didn't he? He did start putting some scores together as the summer went on. And a young player to go through a spell like that early in his career, especially after he's been, basically told that he's going to be the best thing ever, the best thing since Mike Atherton. I don't know what I thought about. Why not Mike Atherton? And then to have that start, it's going to develop his resilience. He's going to develop his confidence. He's got something to claw back on now, isn't he? He's like, I know I had a bad run, but I can get out of it. I can do it. Sometimes if a player has too much of an easy thing, then they get in the test setup, perhaps if you want to focus it back to England, and they've not been challenged. Maybe James Bracey was an example of this. And then it's difficult. What have they got to fall back on? And this, I'm trying to find the positive here because Lammonby is clearly a very, very talented young cricketer. And I think we've seen there...
He's just got to find a way to get through the first 20 overs of the game, mate. He gets out less than 10, 55% of the time of his innings. That's 21 above league average. That's not a great position to be in. And what I saw last year when I was watching some of the live stream, I saw him getting squared up a lot. So he's had a winter. Just because you did one thing one season doesn't mean you're the same person next. It doesn't mean you're the same person week 1 to what you are week 8 in the county championship season. So I think he will be okay. I do look at this team and I'm slightly concerned about the amount of runs. They're still relying on a 37-year-old James Hildreth, who it's an absolute travesty, never played first-class cricket for England, but he's dropped so far off in the previous years. Now 166th best batsman in England. He's just not quite the player that he used to be. In terms of the bowling, I think they're not bad. Craig Overton will play a lot of cricket for them because I don't think Craig Overton should be taking a new ball for England anytime soon. If injuries get bad, he will be second, third change sort of bowler. And I think in England, he may be okay in that role, but he's still got to earn it at the top level. But 109 wickets at 17, mate, he's been exceptional. Lewis Gregory, 90 wickets at 19, gets labelled with the white ball sort of guy. He's better than just being a white ball sort of guy and averages 32 with the bat in the last few years as well. And that's off 33 innings opening the batting again. So what are you looking at? It's actually quite a lot. Marchant DeLang, express speed, 55 wickets in average of 33. How much is he going to be fit? How much is he going to be around? And Jack Brooks, 50 wickets at 29. I thought Jack Brooks was a better bowler than 50 wickets at 29 over the last 3 seasons, mate, I've got to say. But he's now, and this makes me feel old, he's now 37. I can remember watching him when I was 18 years old, and he was 18 years old, thinking, wow, this young lad, he's great.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, just to say Jack Brooks quickly, though. 487 wickets at 27.5 for Jack Brooks over his career. But yeah, he's certainly not quite the same power as he was once upon a time when he was donning headbands like it was a fun thing. Yeah. So absolutely. So yeah, I'm intrigued by Somerset, but I think they're going to have plenty to compete, but I don't think they're going to get there this season. That's my opinion on that one. Any more on Somerset, or are we happy to move on down to the Oval?
Good to move on. Just got question marks.
Just got question marks.
About Somerset.
Yeah, big time. No answers at the moment. Surrey. The powerhouse, really. They should be. When you look at the players they have, you look at the squad list every season, they should be winning championship year after year after year. They will argue England still our best players. And again, like I said with Lancashire, Surrey, the difference between them having the chance of winning a title this year and not will be whether or not half this team is playing for England or not. Firstly, they've lost a lot. Liam Plunkett, gone to America. Eagles fan, go Birds. Ricky Clark has hung up his spikes, and Jade Dernbach has left as well. That's a lot to lose, but I think it's just opening up for more and more promising younger players. Reece Topley, it's so good last year to see him back to full fitness, not just white ball fitness, but red ball fitness. He's expressed a desire to get himself in England set up, and I would love that. Jofra Archer, we've had his injury problems. We've had Ollie Stone's injury problems. We start looking around at where's the next genuine quick or, pretty quick bowler. Reece Topley, it would be fantastic to see him donning the whites and playing Test cricket for England. Lots of exciting young players, but it really does rely on this England. Like we said, Rory Burns, Sam Curran, Ben Foakes, Ollie Pope, isn't it? They're the ones, really. All of those players could be time this summer away playing. Rory Burns will be desperate, the captain of the county championship setup. He will be desperate to go and score runs to reclaim his England spot. I personally don't think he's going to get in there. I think there's going to be other players that they want to use, or I think maybe Sibley will get there before he does, but he's going to be wanting to be playing. Sam Curran should be fit for the start of the year, which is great news. Ben Foakes is a question, isn't he? Will he nail down that England spot? Will he even be given the gloves to start the summer against New Zealand is a big conversation to be had as well. A couple of young players I just want to talk about. Jamie Smith, I think he is an absolute talent. Batsman who keeps wicket as well. He's a young fella. He's averaging 36.71 at the moment. I think he's just got whatever he wants to be in the future. He certainly can be. Ryan Patel as well. Will Jacks is another young player. And Dan Worrell, I just want to say, Dan Worrell's arrived as well. He's on a UK passport now. He was with Gloucestershire last year. He's moved across Surrey. Surrey always seem to end up with one of those players, don't they?
Yeah, they do, mate. They just they land on them. And Dan Worrell's good, mate. 27 wickets at 23 in the last few years in county championship. He's been better than that in the Sheffield Shield in terms of wicket taking ability. His average is probably the same, slightly higher. They are a good team. Whenever you talk about Surrey, you need to talk about the fact that averages are inflated. They play at the Kensington Oval. The last 3 seasons at the Kensington Oval, there's been 15 games, and the average for a batsman is 40.12. That is way above anything else. The next nearest is Leicestershire at 35. And if you take them all, it's 28% easier to bat at the Kensington Oval than the county championship average. And you need to take that into account when you're talking about some of these players and how good they are and what the averages kind of look like. So I think you've got to start with Ollie Pope, mate. Ollie Pope has been an absolute run machine. 1,422 runs in the last 3 years. He averages 79. If you take away, or if you look at his weighted runs across all the different grounds that he's played at, that drops down to 71. That is still the only player in county cricket that averages over 60 during that period. So he's a one-man band at the top. His balls per dismissal is 110. His strike rate's really good. He scores more than 50 in 33% of his innings during that time. That's 10% higher than league average for a top 6 batsman. He's just outstanding. And the great thing is he's going to play, and he's going to play from game one, and he's got to score runs, Rich.
Would I be right in saying that Ollie Pope is the most talented county batsman on the circuit at the moment?
I can't, other than Mark Rampakash in his later years, I can't remember someone being as dominant as what Ollie Pope is in county cricket, mate.
That's the word. And this is the thing, isn't it? There's no one doubting Ollie Pope's ability. But at the Test arena, and that's what a lot of our conversation will circle back to, he has not done it. And I don't think he's justified being the next player back in the setup. Yeah, I think he can go and score as many runs as he wants. I mean, if he hits 1,000 runs by the time the Test series comes along, then sure, he's in with a shout, isn't he? He averages 99, I think, at the Oval, which is ridiculous. But we just, like you said, we need to just take a little bit of consideration. If Rory Burns and Ollie Pope are going big early on, where are they scoring the runs? How are they scoring the runs? Is it all at the Oval, or are they doing it wherever the away games are for them? So Ollie, undoubtedly, I think him and James Vince are probably 2 of the most talented batsmen. but we've got to see consistency. Simple as that, especially from Ollie Pope. I don't want to see a 200 and then a couple of 10s and 20s or whatever. He needs to score consistently time and time again.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
You want to see him? Yeah, you want to see him do well away from home, playing outside of the Oval as well. I think it's a big season for Rory Burns. Rory Burns is incredibly consistent in county cricket. We saw him put together 6, 7, 8 50s before the Test match call-ups came around last year, and he's out of consideration because he's been given more time than anyone else other than Trescothick, Strauss, Cook. Those sort of ilk of players, and it's not quite worked out for him. But he averages 44 in county championship cricket over the last 3 years. He scores a lot of 50s, gets in a lot. He scores more than 50 in 40% of his innings. That's, if you're a betting man, I am not. But if you're a betting man, you're putting a bet on him scoring more than 50 and you're probably going to do all right for yourself. Ben Folkes averages good runs and will need to back up his inclusion in this England test team with some runs because I thought he had a pretty average series against the West Indies other than the first Indies. He completely dropped off. Will Jacks is England bound at some stage in his career. He is England bound. He's an incredible white ball player. First class cricket, he's only averaging 29 over the last few years. Again, inflated with playing at the Oval as well. So I kind of want to see a little bit better than what I've seen with him. With the ball, Rich, Amar Verdi is going to be critical to them. He's 23 years old, mate. He's already got 73 wickets in the last 3 seasons. So you're talking from the age of 20. And he's got an average of 27 as a spinner. There's some spinners in England. They're actually doing some pretty good stuff that are lining up behind Jack Leach, waiting for an opportunity. And I know you've been really high on Verdi for several years now. And it could be the stage, he'll turn 24 during the season. That this could be he's already been good, but this could be the breakout year that takes him into England conversation. Hard when Matt Parkinson and Jack Leach is in front of you, right?
It is, but at some point, England have to gamble. They have to say, Jack, you're doing a great little job for us, but we have to gamble. Don't want to talk about gambling again, but we have to see what we can get out of some of these younger players as well. We have to give an opportunity at some point at international cricket, some of these young players. Matt Parkinson, obviously. Amar Verdi, I think, is another. Jack Carson down at Sussex, who we'll talk about in the Division 2 preview as well. There are spinners out there, and there are others as well. This is the other Parkinson, Callum Parkinson at Leicestershire, brother Parkinson. There are spinners out there. Jack Leach is a steady cricketer, and we should not undervalue him because he's a nice player. He's very Ashley Giles-esque, isn't he? But we need to, at some point, see if we've got something more. And I think that's where Amar Verdi falls into this. Will Jacks, absolutely. I don't disagree with that. Big summer for a lot of these Surrey players. As I said at the top, Jamie Smith, I think he's really talented. I think he's one of the players to watch this year in the whole of county cricket.
We could see as well, some Curran brother action going on. Both have been struggling with injuries throughout the winter and may pop up for some county cricket if fit. But if you're putting them into the conversation, and you've already got Kamar Roach in the conversation, Dan Worrell in the conversation, they're not that bad. Jamie Overton, they say they're not that bad. They become a very, very good team. Reece Topley in the conversation. They've got a lot of depth around there if England's selection and fitness warrants it. But the great thing about Surrey, mate, we've seen over the years is they've got an absolute train of young players coming through. And every time they come through, there's not many fails going on with who they promote into the first team. They get given opportunity. They get a lot of support. Alex Stewart does a wonderful job as director of cricket and breeding a really good culture around that place. And people want to play there and people do well there.
Absolutely, 100%, mate. Right, let's keep it moving. 2 more counties to go. Bear with us. We're nearly there. Warwickshire and then Yorkshire. Not much gone on at Yorkshire over the winter, is there? So that'll take moments. Warwickshire, last year's champions. Chris Tall, our good friend, he's a bear. He was happy. I'm happy if he's happy. So Warwickshire, they'll be looking to repeat. Led by Will Rhodes, one of the finest young cricketers in the country. Not necessarily with the overall, like he's going to be in the England team as a batter. He's going to do this as an all-rounder. But just as a steady, he's a captain, he's a batsman, he's a bowler. He's just a steady county cricketer. Very underrated, I think, in many respects. But they've got a great leader as well. Paul Farbrace in charge of the club and Mark Robinson as well. Really good setup. Alex Davis, we spoke about, he's come across from Lancashire, very talented player. I think he's going to be missing a bit of the start of the season after getting a bit of mischief with him. Dom Sibley, obviously. Dom Sibley. He's doing all right pre-season. He's even scoring at a good lick, isn't he? About a 60 strike rate, I think I saw. He's somebody that's obviously come back and he's saying, no, I want my England spot back. Rob Yates, he was with the Lions over the winter. He'll be wanting that England spot. And we'll just look at that top 5 in a minute, Rob, before I hand over to you. But there is so much talent in that, isn't there, with the likes of Sam Hain as well. Exciting players coming through. We've still got Chris Wokes. We've got Ollie Stone if he can ever get himself fit and firing consistently. We've got Liam Norwell, who was with England with the Lions, and he's starting to get close to getting a little bit of recognition. You've got Oliver Hannon-Dolby. You've got Danny Briggs. It's just stacked. I'm just going to read off the top 5 of what it could be for this team. It could be Dom Sibley, Alex Davis, who scored a lot of runs over the last few years. Rob Yates, who got 1,000 runs or very close to 1,000 runs last year at number 3. Maybe a wise little move there. I don't think Joe Root's going to stay at number 3 for long for England. Maybe he drops back to 4. England need that number 3. Sam Hain at 4, ultra talented, and then your captain, all-rounder, Will Rhodes at 5. And then a certain young player, Jacob Bethel, under 19s. Was he the captain? Oh, no, he's all-rounder, wasn't he? He's somebody that might find himself in that spot at number 6 and all-rounder. That is a solid looking side. And I think that Warwickshire are going to be very, very excited to get the season underway. And I think they'll be hoping for a repeat.
Yeah, they will, mate. They're good. In fact, the Sibley, Hain, Davis, Rhodes and Yates all rank within the top 70 of my best English players in the country in terms of batting. Sibley, I've actually got, given how well he's done in county cricket, I know he failed at test match cricket, I've actually got in the top 5. He's incredible, mate. He bats time like no one else bats time. We know that 133 balls per dismissal, which is 66 higher than the county championship average. He averages 56. His ground factor average is 56 as well. So it's not like he's just cashing in on batter-friendly tracks. He's doing it wherever he goes and plays cricket. And his 50-plus rate is at 38% of his innings in county cricket, a 50-plus. That's 16 above the county average. So he's incredible. Davis is wonderful. Sam Hain, sneaky young. We say sneaky old on this a lot, but sneaky young. He's only 26. I feel like he's been talked about for such a long time because his white ball game is so strong, especially Royal London Cup. He averages 40, 50, and not quite sure how he hasn't got into that England team, but it's because the England team's so strong. But county cricket, an average of 38 over the last 3 years. He's getting it together. Will Rhodes, I ranked in the list that's not yet been published, in the top 50 list of English cricketers. And he's just solid. He's solid throwing out. He averages 33 with the bat in the last few years. He averages 22 with the ball in the last few years. He's not the best at either discipline, but he's a good leader. He's a good sort, and he's the right sort of guy to lead this team. And you're right, player. Rob Yates is great to be as part of this lineup as well. He's warranting conversation around England Lions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He was with England Lions over the winter. He got himself in there ahead of 1 and 2 others. Obviously, his partner opening the batting over the winter was Alex Lees, who is now the England opener. And for how long, it's up to Alex Lees, I suppose, at the moment, isn't it? But people like Rob Yates will be absolutely banging and kicking the door down, along with Sibley. Like I say, I like the idea of Yates at 3. I think it just breaks things up a bit. And we need more of these young, promising top-order batsmen taking that number 3 spot. Opener is a problem, but number 3 is equally as big a problem for me in this England setup. Danny Briggs, quality spinner, isn't he, as well? Plenty of talent coming through. Chris Benjamin, I think he's a South African wicketkeeper batsman. He's probably not even going to be getting there, but he got himself 100 on championship debut last year. They have got players, Michael Burgess as well, the wicketkeeper at 7. That is a solid top 6 or 7, and then they've got plenty with the ball. I just think Warwickshire, they're going to be there or thereabouts. We've said it about a few counties this year, but Warwickshire, as good as last year, if not better. I think
it doesn't feel like they're carrying anyone, mate. Oliver Hannon-Dolby, 93 wickets, 25 last few years. Liam Norwell, potential England conversation at some stage. 67 wickets at 20. Really strong bowler. Craig Mills is good. Will Rhodes we've touched on. Chris Wokes might not be around that much, but Ollie Stone, if fit, will be. And he was, I watched the live streams last year of the Warwickshire games. I just kind of pick and choose. I have about 6-7 tabs open while I'm watching them and pick and choose who's England bound and watch those bits. Ollie Stone was rapid when he was playing county championship cricket last year. He was so fast and so good and so different to anything else that was on the pitch. I am hopeful that he will be in a position to play some cricket and start getting back to fitness.
It would be great, wouldn't it? And for him personally, it would be amazing. For Warwickshire, it'd be absolutely fantastic. And for England, Wouldn't it be lovely if we could have a quick bowler that doesn't break down? And it's no fault of his own. It's just the way it is. We just seem to have had this curse for a while. Timmo Mills, wasn't it, when he first started coming through? Jofra Archer now, Ollie Stone, Reece Topley as well. All of these players that have got that extra little bit of pace just can't seem to sustain it. Ollie Stone, fingers crossed he comes back fit and firing. Let's wrap it up, Rob. We're hitting an hour here today. Let's just quickly get through Yorkshire, or as quick as we possibly can. Yorkshire... head coach, I think, before we get into one or two other little bits, I'm not going to dwell on this too long, but head coach Otis Gibson was appointed. The ex-West Indies and South Africa, superb. Apparently he beat out, I think he was one of 80 candidates for this job. This is one of the most desirable jobs probably in world cricket, isn't it, the Yorkshire job? The players that they have, the likes of Adam Lyve still there with Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root, etc. It's been a really rough winter for Yorkshire. They've been given the state test status back after recent events, AGM, etc., with or EGM, with getting the new chairman in there, Lord Patel. It seems like Yorkshire have wanted to basically shoot themselves. It's simple as that with how they've handled the Azim Rafiq fallout. I've been so proud to see Azim Rafiq, the way he's handled himself and the way he's gone about this and the way he's shone a light on cricket that needed to be shone. When you look at the lack of diversity within English cricket, in the coaching, within the backroom, within the boards, and on the playing field, it is shocking. It should not be like this. And there's some clear issues within the county game that he has brought to the fore, and he should be absolutely applauded. And I can't be more kind of respectful of what he's done. One of the people that's had a bit of fallout from that is Gary Balance. Some of the things he said has come out, and that's just caught him. He's going to miss a bit of the start of the year. He's struggling a little bit behind the scenes now as well, isn't he? I think he can be quite fortunate that he's still with Yorkshire. He's still a very talented player, and when they do get him back, when we're looking purely at cricket, he's as good as there is. I don't want to say like quality-wise, but he just knows how to churn out runs, doesn't he? It's as simple as that. They've got an exceptional squad, Rob, in some respects, on paper. But again, when you take out Bairstow, when you take out Root, it suddenly dilutes a hell of a lot, doesn't it? Dawid Malan will be hoping that he can spend some time at the crease and regain that spot, that number 3 spot. Adam Lyve, another one with great experience. After that, I struggle a little bit. Ben Code and Matt Fisher with the ball. Matt Fisher, obviously, who got his test debut. Maybe it came a little bit early for him this winter. I'm sure his time will come again. But he's somebody that will want to get firing again. And Ben Code is a lovely bowler. There's a great little stat to say that he could be the first bowler since Alan Ward in 1971 to reach 200 wicket mark in first-class cricket of an average of less than 20. He needs another 8 wickets at 103 runs or fewer. Wow. That's a talent. That's a player that we need to be keeping an eye on. There's also a little chance that Adil Rashid might be wanting to get his red ball game back on. So if that is happening, that would be different, wouldn't it? You've got Don Bess in there, but getting that man back in there, getting Adil Rashid, that changes everything.
It does. Also, breaking news over the last few days, Haris Rauf, Pakistan fast bowler, is coming to join them for some county cricket as well. Yes. So that would have come out after the Cricketers' digest on the county championship season. But I saw that pop up the other day, and I hope it's not another April Fool's that have fallen for.
No, he's on here, mate. Yeah, 16 wickets at 24 in his 4 first-class games. So, yeah, he's on here.
I think that's... Anything with speed is potentially a game changer because people don't face it every single day. They don't face 90 mile an hour. And I think that's a great call for them. Joe Root will play cricket and he will play maybe the first 6 games of the season, I think, depending on when they've got games, when they've got rest weeks and stuff like that. But Joe Root in county cricket is the best player in county cricket. And that shouldn't surprise anyone because he's the best player in test match cricket. But to be able to do it no matter what the format, no matter what the condition, no matter if you're playing at Scarborough, Liverpool, wherever you want to go, he is incredible. He's got the second best average over this time. Balls per dismissal is third. 50 plus per innings is first. He's just Mr. Consistent, whatever he does, wherever he does it. I'm not sure how much cricket Dawid Malan is going to play because you're not privy to these conversations about what people want to go and achieve. We know he's England's number 3 in T20 cricket. He has been one of the best, most consistent T20 cricket players in the world. But he's 34 and he's just been dropped from England for a second time. So not quite sure what that means. Gary Balance not being in the conversation leaves a big gap. He averages 46 over the last 3 years. Adam Lyve is now 34 years old, averages 36 opening the batting. He's pretty good. He's consistent every single year. He'll churn out the same. David Will is a part of the IPL at the moment and doing pretty good. So it creates opportunities. Harry Brook will probably be around, and he's made noises about wanting to play for England in first-class cricket. He averages 32 at the moment. That's not quite good enough. He gets out every 51 balls. That's not really good enough. But he's 23 years old, and he's an English batsman playing in English conditions during a period where over the last 20 years, it is the hardest to bat in English cricket. Top 6 batsmen peaked in 2016 in the last 20 years, where they averaged 40. That is now down onto a 3-year revolving average of 30.13. So you can see how much harder it is for top 6 batsmen compared to where it used to be. And there's a whole bunch of factors that go into that. But the fact is, at the moment, averaging 32, he's just above league average in terms of the batsman. Tom Kohler-Cadmore is going to be a player who's going to want to score runs.
Yep.
I expected better of Kohler-Cadmore at Yorkshire because I rated him higher than probably what his output has been. He only averages 28. He's below league average batsman in county championship cricket. Is that good enough? It's good enough for a team player. It's not good enough for someone that I thought might be better than what he's been achieving during that time. But the bowling is quite strong, Rich. The bowling is quite Code you've spoken about, absolutely exceptional. 84 wickets at 21 in the last 3 years. Stephen Patterson, 38 years old, still averages 26 with the ball in the last few years. And Don Best. Don Best went there to play cricket. Don Best has gone there and played cricket. He averages 23 with the bat and he averages 29 with the ball. And he gets to play in front of Joe Root every single start of the season, and he did well there last year. He scored runs and took some wickets. I'm not sold this is as strong a Yorkshire team as what maybe we've seen in previous years, especially when Joe Root goes. That's going to leave such a big gap. I'm worried about their top 6. We saw guys like Will Frayne play a lot of cricket last year. 25-year-old Will Frayne. I think he was at Nottinghamshire before he moved on to Yorkshire.
Yes,
he averaged 19, mate, in 25 innings across the last 3 years. I've spoken about it on the podcast. I saw the Yorkshire-Lancashire game on YouTube. Saqib Mahmood was bowling. He didn't want to be in a bit. He was almost stood on square legs toes. So, and that's not saying he can't be better because he goes away, he gets better over the winter. They do whatever they need to do. But I am worried about the productivity of the top 6 as soon as Root goes from this team, especially if there's no Milan, especially if there's no Gary Balance for an elongated period of time.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, isn't it? You're relying on people like Adam Lyve, Dawid Malan, who are coming to a point of their career where, especially Lyve, obviously older than Malan, but they're coming to a point in their career where they're going to drop off at some point. Maybe Malan, like you said, maybe he decides that actually Test cricket isn't for me. I want to focus more on white ball and get myself some paydays as I move towards the back end, being a superstar T20 player as he is. Kohler-Cadmore, I was a big fan of him in his younger days. He's not an old man at all at the moment, but he's just ultra talented as well, isn't he? He's got to get it clicking though. And there are some of these young players in this Yorkshire team that have to do that. We spoke about other counties where you're expecting players to have to step up and show what they can do now. Harry Brook is a young fella. But if you're as good as everyone keeps saying you are, he's in and around the England setup, isn't he now? He's been in the white ball setup. If he's as good as everyone says, go and get yourself in that England setup now. Go and jump ahead of some of these guys that are vying for those middle order spots in the England team and go and show us all what you've got to do. If he does that, Yorkshire won't miss the likes of Root, Bairstow and Balance as much as you would expect them to. And Stephen Patterson, captain, fantastic for Yorkshire, isn't he? He's going to keep going, keep rolling. Another one of those bowlers. He's just a bit of an ageless player, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just keeps going. Another very, very underrated cricketer in county cricket. So Yorkshire, I think, will struggle a little bit. But let's see. I mean, after the winter they've had, if they can just concentrate on cricket and just getting things right in that setup and get behind Otis Gibson. Obviously, Darren Goff's in there as manager and director of cricket for now as well. So they're getting back to basics, aren't they? Rebuild yourself. Get your PR job in order. They've got a lot of goodwill to regain, I think, from the cricketing population, especially from the Yorkshire membership. But I do look forward to seeing how they address that going forward now. So that wraps up the 10, Rob. We've gone. It always takes longer than we expect. We always talk too much, we're always going to do that. But let's just finish off with a quick prediction. Who's going to win, and who are the 2 teams to be relegated?
I'm going to let you go first on this.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with Hampshire. We've had a little flick through the Cricketer this week as well, the magazine, and they've chose Hampshire. I'm going with that. I think as an outside shout, I think Surrey could potentially surprise if they don't have England players selected, which probably won't happen because if they have a really good summer, those players will be playing for England.
Yeah. That's
Catch
true.
22.
I'm going to go Lancashire, mate.
Nice.
I think their batting is elite and playing and elite in all formats, all conditions, all around the country. And I like that. I think sheer weight of runs on any given pitch, they're going to be okay. But they may get done by England selections. We'll see. But they might have Jimmy Anderson all year.
Jeez, what a joke. Right, who's getting relegated, Rob? I'll go first again. Then I'm going to go with Northamptonshire are going to finish bottom. I like you, but I'm sorry, it's not going to happen for you. And Gloucestershire are also. So both teams that were promoted back in 2019 will be finding their way back down into Division 2.
I'm going to go completely left field here.
Oh, my God.
And I've talked myself into it, and I do this on the podcast. Northamptonshire relegated. Somerset relegated. Somerset, who have been one of the most consistent teams year on year. I think, I'm calling it out. It's almost for effect. I'm calling it out. But I feel they are not a team that they have been in previous years this year. And I think they are going to find themselves in a conversation around the bottom of the table. And for effect, I am calling Somerset.
Ooh, that's a big shout, big shout. I think we need anybody that stayed with us this long, let us know who you think is going to win the league, who's going to be getting relegated from that Division 1. And if you're a Somerset fan, just don't hold back. Don't hold back at all on Rob. I think you're great.
Just lay into him. Let him have it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that wraps it up for this one, doesn't it? There's some excellent young cricketers going through. There's some quality overseas players. And every summer, this is a start for me. We've had cricket force this week. And like I say, any club cricketer knows exactly what I'm talking about in England. This is the time you start seeing the grass getting cut again. You start getting the smells and the sights and the sounds of it all. You're back in the dressing room. You've got it all ready to go. Cricket season nearly here, isn't it? We're a couple of days, about 4 days away from the start of the championship season. Just bring it on now. I'm ready.
It's special. It's special time of year. It's the time, actually, I miss England the most. The smells, the beer, the friends, ground force weekend, maybe not, but getting ready for cricket season, definitely I do. So let us know what you guys think down below. Who's going to be good and who's not going to be so good during the season? Who's the breakout stars that we've not spoken about? We've got an hour and 10. It's a good podcast. I just love county cricket. It's special, guys. So thank you so much for listening. Rate, review, subscribe wherever you are listening. We'll be back tomorrow with the Division 2 preview. See you next time.